Hello, it's Joie, and today I'm filling a glue book page using a prompt as part of a challenge. You really enjoyed last month's prompt, which was called Hello October. That was all about mushrooms and what the month inspires to you. The prompt today to shape our collage is book pages and bugs. So the idea is that you dig out your supplies and think about that prompt and create a page of whatever that means to you. Let's get creative and just play with paper and glue. So this is the page that I'm going to create today, or indeed something like it. And while we enjoy some collage together, I will also share a few of my own personal tips, tricks and ideas. I have a few little process steps. I like to create these on my channel now. So feel free to take a screenshot of these and I'll just refer to them as we go through. And don't forget to subscribe if you love playing with paper and collage and just sticking things in a book. I'm going to do this next month as well, so it would be absolutely fantastic to do this again together. So for today's glue book collage challenge, book pages and bugs, to create a page a bit like this, something like this, I have set all my supplies out on my desk, and I thought it would be nice to just share them with you and show you what I'm about to play with. So to the right of my page here, I have a little pile of book pages. So I've pulled out some book pages in different fonts, and I really like these old ones. So I've got a William Shakespeare measure for measure at the top of the pile here. I've got some Dickens, I think it might be Pickwick papers, some beautiful old aged vanilla colours. I've got some textbooks, there's a dictionary, and these are going to form the background to the page. And it's quite important today to have some book pages in it, hence those words feature in the prompt name, because I'm going to do a little bit of painting on them, and having a plainer background, albeit mixed with different styles of paper, really do add interest and help the images pop. I'm also going to be using a few images from some digitals, so I did think I would just give you a quick whiz of a look at those today. So I might tear a little bit off one of these. So I've got some gorgeous little squirrel images there, beautiful mushrooms, and I've also got some images of insects. If you don't have digitals, can't get access to them, or it's just not in your budget, which is perfectly reasonable, then have a look in old books and see what you can find by way of nice script, little bugs, maybe some numbers as well. I might use a digit or two. Anyway, those are the images. I also have some stamps I'm going to use. Those are acrylic stamps, which mean I can see through as I'm stamping and get them exactly where I want to stamp. I've got some washi tape. I've got some Tracy labels there. My tub is nice and full, I topped it up. That's the backing to the stamp collection, and I'll tell you exactly which stamp collection it is and the company, because I had a chat with them about their angel policy just to help today. I thought I would do that in advance of today. Coming round here, sitting on my little lights, I have a new toy that I've been playing with, which is some beautiful dual light colours of metallic paints in a palette from Arteza. And check out the video description box below, because there might be a little discount code down there. And then to the left I have a little mound of images that I've been tearing out of those digitals. So this is my supply of insect pictures, and that is actually my book I've been having a go at painting, playing with those metallics, making leaves. That is actually a little pile of pre-made journal pages in the same vein, but that's for another video if you're interested. So let's get on and play with all of these lovely goodies and make our glue book collage page. So the first thing I will do is rip up smaller pieces from some of these and put them down on the right hand side. So that's the mushroom page that we did a month ago, and it's going to be quite dense, I think, in a similar way. So I've packed the images on and I put lots of texture on, and I want to do something a little bit similar but inspired by different images around me. So today's video is, again, reflecting some of the things that I see when I go for a walk in the morning, when I take the dog a walk. And this month's page is no doubt inspired by some of those pictures of leaves, falling leaves, all the leaves that gather on the floor, by the rotting and the colours, the changing colours as we go from green to all those reds, and the berries that you see, and the mushrooms down on the ground. But I wanted to do something different from the mushroom collage from last month, so I thought today I would get some book pages down and move through by adding those lovely insects. So I know that I want book pages on here, and there's no particular position for the book pages. I do think I want to get some of this squirrel and deer on. So I am going to have a go ripping that, and I'm intentionally not including this mushroom and clock down here because I don't want this to feel like I'm just transplanting a picture onto a page, and I don't want too much of a focal point, but I will get that on there. And I'll also use my technique of putting glue maybe along most of the sides and a little bit in the middle. I'm going to use a little bit of Nouse and try to remember on my pieces to leave the edges unglued, and that allows me to tuck things in and get that gorgeous layering effect. So I'm doing nothing particularly difficult. I've got a French ephemera pattern paper here, that's really nice. I like the yellowing on it and the script. I'll have a bit of that. Let's find some different textures and patterns. So the book pages are not going to be the main feature, but I do think if you can get something like this mixture of colours of paper and text, it really does add something. It adds a richness, doesn't it? It's richness and depth, and is it not the thing we have most of? Do you need to reduce your book page collection? I wonder. Let me know. I think there's also something about the tearing. Not sure why. That tearing sound. I'm using my liquid glue, but I am being a little bit careful not to slap too much on because I don't want the page to be too wet. Help that go under there, but that can tuck under because we didn't stick it fully down. That's great. What did I do? I have a nice piece of paper here. Maybe, that might be good up there. I think we'll do a bit of that. So all these yellows and vanillas, all these aged papers, and some new ones too, mingling in, just making our background. No particular places. I do like to have flaps that I can tuck things under later, so medium-sized pieces today I think. I'm going to have Mr. Dickens, and as I say, this was already a Falling to Bits book, but it's got that tenderness about it. That definitely needs to go on. Let's just have a smallish piece there, and I might take the edge off this because I don't want too much creamy white. I just like the text, but I'm even going to keep that. Is that ridiculous? Joey, what are you doing keeping pieces that size? I don't know. So should that go under? I think so. That can go there. And I definitely can't create a page that's exactly the same as the one I had a play at. It's never going to be the same, is it? But I can have a go at the method and the process and just see what pops out, and that is the fun of it. This is too big for me. I will do a bit more here. I might actually, oh, it's got the Pickwick Club written on it. I might have to use that to just break up something down here. That's too similar a colour, so I think I'm going to use that up there. Break up a bit of the white and also maybe tuck under that French ephemera paper. That's becoming rather a staple in my collection. I did a just about good enough job of not gluing to the edge. Something to remember, that works. Bring it up maybe to there. These are close together, so although they're the same page, I will probably split them up with an image. I think in fact, if that can go under, that would be good. Yeah, that's better. Sense of layering. What else do we have? We have some book page. I might just take a little bit of that. It's quite a strong image set of notes, so I think that would be good. Just above the deer. You see, you definitely can't plan too much with one of these. I think the key is about choice of supplies. Choice of supplies and a bit of organisation around you. And then after that, letting your imagination just flow. Not saying no to too many things when you pick them up and think, shall I do this? So I've got some of my Dickens still showing, but I've got some notes there. Something down here. Shall we have some Shakespeare? Measure for Measure. I like the title at the top. I wonder if we can show that somehow. In fact, I think I'll have a little bit of Shakespeare at the top. It's very delicate, this one, but the font is just beautiful, and you get those lines of text, obviously for each of the plays, words. Just really like that. Can that fit? Yes, I'll have one over on the left and under on the right, and then we have the words Pickwick Club. Maybe use a bit more of that down here. And it's very easy to fill in the little gaps at the end. Got some movement on that one coming up. That's nice as well, isn't it, when we see different shapes and different lines. So very much an opportunity to play with using our book pages, doing some collage, playing with glue, but I am sticking to my book pages as background in the main, apart from one image here. I think I'll weave in a bit of this rich yellowing piece. This actually isn't old. I made too big of a mess with that one. I can always cut it off. So this is probably 30 years old, this book, but it happens to have gone yellow for some reason, so I use this for the colour. Not every book we have needs to be super vintage for us to use it. I can just tuck under nicely, very nicely. A little bit of overlap, that's absolutely fine. Try and line it up. I've got a bit of a gap over here. Shall we add a little bit more of that French ephemera paper? And I'm not worried about things sticking up yet, we can always go around later. It's easier to make a collage if we've got those sticking up pieces than if we've glued it all down, because I think the opportunity to add layers is from being able to tuck under like that. That's nice. Just have a little bit under there. And it comes together very quickly. Where do you get your books from, actually? That would be a great thing to know. How do you acquire any of your books that you use for collage, and what are your favourite books? Drop me a comment below and let's have a little chat about book pages. Where do we get our books? Which is your favourite? Speaking of which, I can't resist showing you this, my first copy of The Concise British Flora in colour, which I found in a charity shop. So I know this is a bit of a digression, but I thought you'd just like to celebrate the beauty of this one. So I'll pop that on the side. I thought I'd like to share some of the other things I'm doing in my craft room, as I just have moments of peace and calm and deep satisfaction from ripping up paper. Do we need a little bit more down here? Do we need a little bit more of, a bold one, a bit like this? Right, tiny bit of that, and then we'll take a look, see where we've got to. Have we got enough of our background on? Are we ready to move to the next stage? And I might have a quick look at the process steps too. Also, it would be fabulous if you could let me know if those process steps are any use at all for you, or should I just stop creating them? Do you use them? Are they helpful? Can you let me know in a comment down below? That would be fantastic too. Just get that one on, and I think we might have enough. So the next thing I'm going to do is add a couple of images, I've pulled a few out from that digital and I'm going to distribute them around the page so that they are spread out in case we want to cut these up and make this page into some journaling cards, for example, or put them on the front of an altered envelope. So these are some of the little images that I thought I would use. I've got one that looks like a stamp. I've got a banner, so different shapes are really useful too. I've got a collection here, I might tear something out, and I've got one that's on what looks like a ticket. So I think I'll start with maybe the ticket and something from this. And we've got greens on here, so this is where it starts to be very much about thinking what works for you. What images do you like? These are quite dark. I want a bigger one. I might go for this little character up here. I'll just tear around it. I'm not going to cut. I like the idea of rough edges on these. Let's just tear that out and see how this works. That's a gorgeous emerald green, isn't it, that one? Let's see how this goes. It's a different sort of shape. I'm going to get rid of the straight line on the paper at the top as well while I'm at it. So I'm going to have him up here somewhere, this little chappy down there, and I'm going to make sure as I glue, I definitely don't want to glue to the edges because I do want to put some little words and labels around these for extra layering. There we go, so I think he can go there. That's nice, it covers up a junction. And I've definitely got some junction going on here. I think he can go on there. Still got a bit of straight edge, let's just rip that off. Maybe you could use images from an encyclopedia. I do have a couple of those sitting behind me. I know there are images in it, so I could definitely use something like that instead. That can go on top. And I need something up here. So I thought I'd add a banner, and I feel like the banner needs a bit of a mat. So I think what I'll do is just cut around a bit of a book page. Just tear that down to make life easy. And I want to fold over the top by about 1 centimetre. I'm just going to glue this little banner onto the book page so that it can be lifted. And the idea is that we've got that sense of what's going on underneath the leaves. When you pick up the leaves and everything that's on the floor when you walk through the woods, so all that activity, all of the leaves are being broken down into the, I suppose, into the soil that the rest of the plants then use. So I can pick that up. There we go. And I'm just going to trim around it, but I'll trim so that I can still see some of the text on the book behind, including at the top. And I've got a bit of spare at the side. Do I want that? I think I'll trim here in the centre going up to the point. So I've basically got a mat which extends beyond the flip up. So I've got a little pointy banner flip up. I thought that could go at the top there. So I'll glue that down from the book page in its entirety. That can go on there. And when we look underneath the leaves, we see things. So I thought I'd take the stamp and put that just sitting underneath that banner. I've cut this one with a jagged edge, so it looks a bit more like a stamp. It's a bit of layering and that can go there. How are we doing? Have a little look. Now I think it's time to add a few little words behind. So any form of text, labels, I think would be great. I've got a few here, a few different types. I'm going to just work those in to create layers behind my images. Nice long word here. I think that can go under there. I like to have them upright, it's just something a little bit different. So I'll have all of the words showing and bring it above that image, like that. Got something here with different text on. I think that can go under there, that works nicely, doesn't it? It's delicate text And our lovely beetle here actually has delicate legs, so I think that works really well. I'll have it on top of there. I'll get a bold number on. I think I'm going to pull out the Tracy labels and add a few of those too, maybe using some neutrals. That's nice and bold. Maybe I could use my little tub here. I know there's a few neutrals in here. So what do we want? We've got some gorgeous browny reds here. So I think I'll add a bit down here, like that one. Back you come glue. I'll do a bit of work around here to fill that in. I'm losing too much of it. I am going to go on top. But I'm going to put something else. It's too big and heavy. I like that one. Starting to feel the flow. Starting to feel in the rhythm. Not too much thinking. It's like getting going on a winter's morning. It's like getting out of bed when it's cold. Yeah. And that needs something over the top as well, but not numbers. I'll have text down here. Just a little bit more. That's better now. Do we even want to go? No, we definitely want to go underneath. Like that. Got some numbers. I'll have a bit more. Number 4. Does that convey look? I don't know. Trying to think about spreading things out. Trying to think about putting my pieces of paper on some junctions. And I'm sure at this point this is starting to look nothing like the one I did before. That's absolutely fine. What else have we got? I can see some. I never cut these out unless I've got a punch. I just don't have the patience on the circles. It's very naughty. That's too large, but I do really like it. I don't want to cover up. I think that can go there. Yeah. Definitely leave some glue at the side, gap at the side. If I go under there, then I've brought together and connected this and this with this, and it just feels good as a result. Starts to come together. Maybe something here. I've already got a couple of numbers, so I don't want too much repetition. See what else we have. Maybe something really plain. That's nice, just a little bit of something, filling in some of that space. I could overdo it, but I'm okay so far. Sitting back, I could have one more of these. Don't want the same word. I think that could go in there. Covering up quite a bit of my music notes if I do that. Maybe under there, under the beetle, and to the side. That's okay, I've still got notes. And then I think perhaps just a bit of contrast up here and just a little bit of something here. What else have I got? Lovely red, and there's red here. So how can I bring that in? Bring that in at the side, upright. Hopefully I've got space and I haven't added glue too much. That can go there, that's nice. Oh, I think I'll bring it down a little bit. That's better. Lots of layers there now, great feeling. Maybe one more thing. What about one more number here? So I'm going to add some depth now with a little bit of stamping, and it's a little bit of paint that takes a collage from that to something a bit more like that. So the combination of stamping and colour and splatting paint, and really easy things to do, no special skill required, I really think adds a huge amount. So the paints I'm going to use are these Arteza well-worn watercolour paints. Some new, relatively new, let's make sure you don't get blinded, metallic paints in stunning dual colours. So these are Arteza, and I'm also going to play with the stamp set that I showed. So the stamp set comes from an online company called Hobby Art Limited, and I actually got these on eBay. They are a gorgeous set of leaves, and I picked a couple of the leaves out. In fact, I've picked 2 or 3 of the leaves out and had a little bit of a play, and I really think they add something to a collage. So the large leaf I stamped in just a little book and had a bit of a practice and a play, and I combined some of my other paints. This is a very cheap art book from a company called The Works here in the UK. I stamped and painted and added the metallics. Now I didn't add enough pigment to begin with. I learnt, I practiced, and I added a little bit more pigment, and I thought those worked really well. So that was mixing some other paints and those metallics. So I did a couple of pages of those, and then I moved on to these beautiful oak leaves, which I'm going to incorporate into the collage today. I've played with a few more of those and thought I'd stamp some more. These are all things I'm going to have a colour in, and I even had to play with a beautiful set of lines that I let merge. So that's paint and then the metallics, so watercolour paint and then the metallics, and I'm going to punch leaves out of these and get that gradation effect. So some of these effects are wonderful for playing with, and I thought today I would add the oak leaf, and I've also got a diddy little dainty one, which I think comes from here as well. Is it on here? Yes. So it's this one. So I've got the oak leaf and the diddy dainty one. I'm going to go in with my ginger coloured ink pad and put this, if I can, some way behind some of these images. And this is why it was important to firstly allow these not to be completely glued down. You really need to take that off like that, and also why I was suggesting that we use book pages, because it gives us something to paint. So those gorgeous aged book pages are really working for us. Can I get one under there? Does not matter if it's off the page, that's nice. I will have something up here, and I think at this stage you really need to react to what's on your page, not to necessarily think what's the formula. Okay, that little chappy, it's going to let me do some, that's good. So 1, 2, 3, and they're not all pointing the same way, so that's great. And I'm going to go in with my little one as well, see if I can distribute that around as well. Probably a bit easier to fit this one in. It's nice to put it next to the oak. Mustn't go overboard. Okay, maybe a tiny bit up here. What do we think? Okay. Okay, maybe enough. Enough is enough. And I think while I'm at it, I'll stamp maybe in green with my postmark, and then I know where these are going to go. It just makes me happy seeing this go down. Yeah, you can see it coming together. Off the page, off the side up here, maybe a bit down there, that's possibly enough. Go back to my lines, a few of those, somewhere near those circles. Ta-dum, da-dum. Yes, happy times. That. And it's time to go in with the paint. So I have my pot of water ready. I need to bring in the colours. So, starting with my big oak leaves, I'm working into some relatively bright greens, but I think I'll dull it down with a bit of yellow, but I do like that sort of yellow ochre green not too blue or green. And you'll see that with a relatively watery consistency, what we get from these Artezas is the ability to see the text through. And as I say, I had a play at those other leaves you saw in the book, and the ones that I'm going to just cut out and maybe do, I might do some Christmas wreaths, or I might do some more collage strips like I did last week. Those leaves in the book, I used a different set of paints. You can't see the text through as easily. Sorry, I'm trying to paint and talk at the same time and I'm not doing a very good job. These Arteza paints allow me to see the beauty of the book page behind, and I'm intentionally just keeping it watery, and I'm varying the colour because I think I get some real interest. Let's have a bit of orange. Let's get the warmth from those leaf colours on the floor of the wood coming through, and also goes really well with our little bug here. That's gorgeous, isn't it? And not difficult at all, and very satisfying. I've always liked bringing paint into my junk journaling, and I just feel like I've neglected it a little bit. I need to do a bit more. So I'm getting a layer of my greens down, maybe a bit more green in that one. That's quite bright. And in a minute I'm going to go in while it's still wet, so I'm working quite quickly with my metallics. Don't need to be too accurate, so let's have a play. Hopefully this won't. Let's put something over the top there, I don't want to blind you. So with these I pick pretty much any colour, and just doesn't take long to get it worked up and going. Just bring that in and let it whoosh over the top of what I've already painted. And you can pretty much pick any colour. So this copper is a great one. I think I'm probably going to use quite a lot of that. There's some golds. There's a sort of deep, dark, antique gold. I don't paint over the whole of the leaf. I just give it a little bit of a special touch in parts, and it spreads very easily. So it's as quick as that. I think I will go back and do something on those little tiny smaller leaves. Bit of a dot of paint. Possibly easier if I glue that down now. I can go on there, just make that flat. Sit down, mister. There we go. I like the lime green. I tried painting with just the metallic, and I think you do need some of the other just really regular watercolour behind. We've got a bit of variation there, working quite quickly, not particularly accurately, but I do think this green embellishment is fantastic for incorporating into our junk journal pages too. In fact, let me just show you very quickly, not to divert us too much, but drawing and painting on pre-made junk journal pages just with some of those insects, mats, just collaging with mushrooms, painting. So much fun. I made a whole batch of pre-made journal pages. If you're interested in seeing those, how I make them, drop me a comment down below. That would be great if you're going to do any challenges like Junk Journal January and you want something ready made up. Let's go for the final bits of my little leaf. See what it's looking like. I'm okay with that. That's a bit messy. Could have done better. 3 out of 10 Joey on that leaf, but let's not worry. So I think what I am ready to do is add some of those extra splats of paint, which adds so much texture, and for that what I'm going to do is draw on that metallic palette again and just do some really faint dots. So I've got my splat box, I'm just standing above it, and to show that a listener, I have lined it with some extra brown paper, and that will ideally catch any extra splats that come off. And what I'm going to do is take a very fine brush like this and add first of all this copper colour just a few splats of that, and it does seem to work very well for giving me teeny tiny dots, which is what I wanted on this collage. I didn't want great big dots, and it works up really quickly. So I've got some dots there. I'm going in with the lime green. It's a nice contrast colour and it should show up quite well. I've got a little pot of water to the right here. Just tippity tap. I think that's a beautiful colour for picking up what's in the leaves in some of these designs. So take a look at what else you've got in your images already for deciding what other colours you're going to add if you feel like a bit of splatting. And then I'm going to be brave and go into the black, which you might not think I would use, but I'm going to have a go with that as well, because you get all sorts of colours on the floor of a wood when you're walking outside. And it adds that texture to that digital on the bottom right, just takes away the sense that it's something that's printed on copy paper. I use 90 GSM copy paper for my printing most of the time. So there are my splats. Let's have a look at that. So my splatting has been done, so I'm going to add a final touch, maybe up here, by way of 3 hand-drawn black dots. So I've got 3 up here and 1 down there. And this is my Gluebook Collage Challenge using the prompt, book pages and bugs. And if you do love collage and playing with your little scraps of paper, then check out my video where I made these collage strips. Super easy, lots of fun, and great for in your junk journal. I hope to see you soon.